Hello, this is Scott. Today's Saturday, November the 20th, 2010, and the market's closed, and I thought this would be a good time to make a video and show you what we are expecting for the next two trades, especially on these two pairs, the Aussie versus the dollar and the euro versus the dollar. If you take a look at the Aussie on the daily time frame, there is a long, perhaps overextended uptrend. And this point right here with the vertical line could be considered the end of that uptrend. Now the Aussie is somewhat correlated with the euro, and the euro gives us insight into what is going on in the Forex market in general because it has a very clear pattern. And this point right here, we determined right at that point that that was the end of an uptrend, and the uptrend that preceded that is an almost perfect textbook trend, and we were able to determine that this point precisely right there, not later on, but right at that point, not necessarily just on this time frame, but on a range of time frames, that that was the end of an uptrend. And our trading strategy is to exit a trade at the end of a trend, and then we move to a shorter time frame where we expect to see a downtrend. So if you change the frequency of your charts to around the 4-hour, that's where we see this beautiful downtrend that lasted for a week and a half. And this is the euro 4-hour. Now we'll magnify and zoom in to the Aussie to see the same thing on that pair. And there's the Aussie 4-hour. Both of these pairs have a downtrend that is best visible around the 4-hour. And that's exactly what we expected to see. So during all of that time, for a week and a half, our strategy was to determine the end of the downtrend, and that would be an exit for a trade. And we determined that this point right here was the end of the downtrend. We determined that right at that point, not later on, and not before that, but right at that point, we determined that that was the end of a downtrend, and the strategy is to exit a trade at that point. Now this brings us to the current trading strategy, because after we have the end of a downtrend, we then expect to see a correction to a downtrend, and we expect the waves of that correction to produce an uptrend on a time frame shorter than the 4-hour. So if you take a look at the euro and you're on the 4-hour, we have this point as being the end of a downtrend, and that's an exit for a short, then we expect to see an uptrend on a time frame shorter than the 4-hour. We go to the 1-hour, and lo and behold, we have very clearly visible on this time frame an uptrend on the 1-hour. Now, this brings us to the current trading strategy. What are we going to do? What are we expecting to do this week? And we can also estimate approximately how much time it will take for these trades to manifest, so that you have a realistic idea of what you're planning to do, and you're not just sitting there at your computer going, where's the trade? Is this a trade right now? You know about how long it's going to take, and you're patiently waiting for that to happen. The traders who are doing this are doing extremely well. If you were spending a week and a half looking for an exit for a short, and you exited right at that point, and now if you're looking for the next trade and you're going to patiently wait for that to happen and not do anything until that does happen, then you're going to have good results. So the trading strategy is, we have an uptrend on the 1-hour, both of these pairs, the Aussie and the euro. Now you can see on the Aussie that it looks like we've had the end of an uptrend, and we have a very distinct signal that tells us right when we have the end of an uptrend, so we have a correction to an uptrend. First trade is this. At the end of the correction to the uptrend on the 1-hour, we're going to go long. And we're going to determine that point right precisely at the point. That's the end of the correction. We're going to get in and go long. And here's what we expect to happen. We expect that there's going to be a correction, and that we're going to determine the end of that correction, and then enter a trade to go long. And that trade will be an uptrend on the 1-hour. And then we're going to determine the end of that uptrend, and then we're going to exit that trade. And at that point, we're going to look carefully, because we're going to be looking for an entry to go short. This trend lasted a week and a half. This uptrend for the A lasted a couple of days. The correction, also a day or two, is likely, and then the trend that's the C wave is likely to last a day or two, a couple of days. And if you already know that, and you have a realistic idea about how long it's going to take for these things to happen, you're going to be very powerful as a trader, because only the extremely strong people can sit there and look at their charts for 2 days and continue to focus on the same strategy, saying, I know what I'm doing, I'm looking for this entry. And then when the entry occurs, you enter. And then after that, you say, I know what I'm doing for the next 2 days. I'm looking for the exit, and it hasn't happened yet. And when it happens, then you exit. And then we're going to look for an entry to go short. And that trade could be comparable to this one over here, which lasted a week and a half. So that's the trading strategy. And as these things develop, we're going to refine precisely what will be the entry. As it's developing, we're going to further define exactly what will be the entry for this entry right here, and for this exit, and for the entry to go short, so that you'll know exactly every detail of what we expect to happen for those two trades, and you'll have it written down before it happens, and when it happens, you will know that that's what you're planning to do. There's always a possibility that something other than what we expect could develop, and therefore we are constantly refining and revising our plan in case something other than what we expect happens. And then if it does, we will revise our strategy as we go. So I hope you enjoy participating in these trades, and let me know how that works out for you.